Hello and welcome back to the Chicken Pants Studio. I'm Claire, a mixed media artist working in the Sonoran Desert. I'm a daily-ish painter, which means, you guessed it, I paint every day, except weekends. For me, it's the best way to work. Creating daily creates momentum. The more you create, the more you want to create. I know it's not for everyone, but if you're thinking about adopting a daily painting practice in your life, you might be wondering, what do you do on the days you don't feel like painting? Because believe me, those days happen. Maybe you're even avoiding painting right now and watching this instead, in which case, hi, me too. Hence this footage of decidedly not painting. I have a few different things I do to manage this. Starting with, try something new. When you're really not feeling it, sometimes it helps to switch creative gears. If you usually paint, try sculpting something out of polymer clay. If you usually write, try painting, and so on. Try sewing a rough little animal or a doll. Try poetry. Try anything, but keep the pressure off. The point is not to create something great. The point is to keep your hands and brain moving creatively. This can shift your resistance. I wrote this whole script while I was avoiding painting. Attitude. Keeping the right attitude and perspective. Any day we have the privilege to paint, it is a good day. I have to remind myself of this constantly. It is a huge privilege to get to paint, and I try not to forget that, but honestly, this only gets me so far. The 5-minute rule. So here's the gist. Just set a timer for 5 minutes, or 10 or 15. Get in there and work on the thing for 5 minutes with the understanding that after 5 minutes, if you're still really not feeling it, you can quit. This works like crazy on me. I find that starting is often the hardest part, and if I can trick myself into just moving some paint around, I can get the ball rolling and I'm good to go. There's something about this technique that just works. Closely related to this is the next strategy. Micro movements. This one I learned from Sark. When you're finding it hard to get started, break your task down into the littlest, tiniest, itty-bittiest steps imaginable. For instance, when I'm not wanting to start a painting, I might just set a canvas out. Then I might get fresh water for my bucket. Then I might just put a tiny blob of paint down. And then I might paint just the tiniest part. Sooner or later, all that tininess snowballs into you actually doing the thing. You start taking on bigger and bigger chunks. I find it's helpful to keep in mind that you only have to do one micro movement at a time, and you can take a break after. Stay pepped up. Of course, the best way to feel like painting is to constantly feed yourself a diet of inspiration. Consume inspiration like it is your job, because it is. Art books, or actually any kind of books, going to galleries and museums, going on walks, talking to your friends, watching visually rich movies, and on and on. Feed yourself well. You get out what you put in, so put in the best stuff. Keep a stockpile. Stockpile ideas and inspiring images for later. When you're already inspired, you generally get more ideas than you can use in that moment. Don't waste them. Keep a special sketchbook just for your ideas to live in. Paste in photos and illustrations that trigger something in you. Make a habit of jotting down any idea that comes to you, good or bad. Don't censor them, just let them flow. The more ideas you allow, the more ideas you're going to get. Take good care of yourself. If you're not feeling okay in your body, you're probably not going to feel like making art. Our basic needs have to be attended to first before we can get to the good stuff. Getting enough sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Unless you're a new parent or an insomniac, in which case my sympathies are with you. Drink lots of water, eat good food, try and move your body around regularly. Stretch it, take it on walks, that sort of thing. This stuff sounds really basic, but I find myself ignoring it sometimes, and then I find myself unable to work. Take good care of yourself. And if your mental health is flagging, call in support however you can. Treat yourself gently like you would a friend. the art supply cure. This one I'm hesitant to mention because it's the least sustainable and isn't always an option, but it's very effective. Treat yourself to a new art supply. A new pen, a new tube of paint, whatever floats your boat. I find it incredibly motivating to have a new supply to try out. Additionally, I just like staring at paint and other art supplies in rainbow order. There's something about that scratches a particular itch for me. Sometimes it's good to treat yourself to an aimless wander around an art supply or craft shop. Go up and down the aisles, especially the ones you don't usually go down or think you're interested in. You'll probably see something that will spark something. Caffeine. Sometimes all you need is to sit still with a cup of coffee or tea for a few minutes and let it center and energize you. It's simple, but it works. Also, you can take a coffee nap, which is where you drink your coffee and then lay down for like 10 minutes, just enough time for your coffee to kick in properly. And this also can be very helpful. Get started early. If at all possible, try starting your painting practice very first thing in the morning, before your coffee has even had a chance to properly kick in. I know, it sounds horrible, but sometimes, often actually, you can sneak right past resistance this way. Your brain is still waking up and it's more likely to be open to new creative ideas at this time, so bonus. Take a field trip. Take yourself out. Go to a cafe and sketch the scene. Take yourself to the zoo and photograph and sketch the animals. Hit up a botanical garden and, yes, photograph and sketch things. This one is admittedly the hardest one for me personally. I hate leaving the house, but it's beneficial. The life-changing magic of tidying your studio. Tidy up your workspace. Clean off your desk with a rag and cleaning solution and stuff. Set a timer and declutter old art supplies, and especially let go of half-finished projects you're never going back to. If you're procrastinating on working, you might as well clean. Music. The right soundtrack can really help. Upbeat music helps put me in the mood to paint. I've made a playlist specifically for this. Additionally, when you're at certain boring parts of the process, you might find that listening to a podcast or audiobook helps. It's kind of like having friends in the studio, and it can be helpful to have something else to keep that part of your brain occupied. Prep. Prepare some canvases, cut some watercolor paper, or do whatever it is you need to do before you do your thing. It's a low-pressure way to create momentum. Once you've got your hands dirty, you might just find that the next step happens naturally. Books. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we have made it all this way down this list without talking about the importance of books. Read something. Read anything. This is so beneficial for your creative mind. I cannot overstate this. Especially read things that are not connected to art, because this is what's really going to energize you. Especially read junk books, quote unquote. This is like a spa for your brain. It's really helpful. The library cure. Treat yourself to an afternoon at the library. Okay, I know that doesn't sound like much of a treat if you're not a book person, but hear me out. This is what I like to do. I like to go there with no agenda, no books that I'm trying to find, and just wander the stacks. Going up and down the nonfiction aisles is particularly good for this. Look at all the titles. Not all the titles, obviously, but look at titles as you go. See what leaps out to you. Something definitely will. And, of course, pick out as many books as you want that intrigue you. And go home with your lovely stack of books and just go through them. You don't have to read every word or look at every page to get the full benefit from this. Just allow yourself to basically bathe in books, and it will do wonders for your creative side. Take a day off. And finally, sometimes you just need a little break. Nobody can be on all the time. It's just not sustainable. Sometimes the very best thing to do is just take a break. Don't worry, the daily painting police aren't going to come and get you. Allow yourself time to rest. Weekends are so important. I highly encourage you to go ahead and take them, even if you are a daily painter. And that's it. Those are my strategies. These are all just things I've learned from other artists and from experience. I hope you found something useful in there. But now it's your turn. What do you do when you're stuck and you don't feel like painting? I would love to hear your strategies because I am always looking for more of them. Leave a comment below so we can keep this conversation going. Keep on creating your thing. While you're here, YouTube thinks you will like this other video. If you've made it this far, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It's really helpful to my little tiny channel and it makes my day whenever somebody does that. So thank you for those of you who have done that, and for those of you who will do that in the near future, hopefully. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.